My name is Adrian Accardo, and I'm Agency Industry Manager at Google. And I'm going to start with this quote. It's, yesterday is dead, and tomorrow hasn't arrived yet. Anybody recognize it? You guys should recognize more than I do. I'm going to give you two reasons why you should pay attention to this. First, because I've got something that you can take away for your business. And second, because I have an accent, so you'll have to pay more attention than you pay to the English speakers. So this quote is actually from the comedy genius Groucho Marx, and I love it. And the reason I love it is because the way of doing things are over for consumers, for marketeers, right? Technology is changing the way we live our lives. It's changing the way we connect one to the other, and it's also changing the way consumers are connecting with you, with your brands. So you can't wait until tomorrow to make change. That'd be too late. One thing we do know that you need to start acting today on and making decisions that can possibly impact your business. Otherwise, you're just going to be left out, and it'll be too late for you guys. And then what we're seeing, I worked in many different countries for Google, and the UK, is especially in the UK, this is one of the most digitally savvy markets. The consumer are connected to the internet. Through this powerful thing, which is the internet, all the time. And it's just fascinating, the amount of information they consume by those, by using those connected devices. I'm gonna start with showing you a video of how technology can actually enrich people's lives, and is a video that shows a couple, they're having a baby. And then how they use technology, and how they move from one device to the other. So let's take a look at that, and then I'll tell you more why I'm showing you this video. So the reason I showed you this video, I'm a single man, but probably most of you guys gone through this experience, and if I had to go through this experience, that's exactly what it would look like. We're constantly connected, and the reason people move from one, and we live in a multi-screen world. The reason why people move from one device to the other is just because it's easier, right? And it makes them time. We're seeing, that 90% of media interaction are screen-based. And we invest about 4.4 hours of leisure time every day on consuming media on screens. And even though 43 minutes is on TV, the rest is on PC, tablets, and mobile. So you know, we do live in a multi-screen world. And you know, what we're seeing change, you know, with the rise of mobile, you know, many times mobile phone is actually the first screen. You know, if we look at the number, you know, just think about the number of times you touch a mobile phone. You know, there's some stats to say people who touch them, they check their mobile phone around 150 times a day. I believe that is too low because I check at least 300 times a day. You know, there's 1.2 billion people connected to globally through mobile phones. He was basically saying that by next year, by 2016, 75% of people in the UK will have a smartphone. For us, we're estimating this is happening by the end of the year. We're around 67% right now. And then, you know, by the end of this year, 70% of UK population will have 4G coverage, right? What does that mean? What does that mean from a consumer point of view? Well, from a consumer point of view, it means we will consume more data. And also mean that we'll create more data. We all become publishers, right? Because we all can create data through social media, through interaction with other people. You know, we can all create data. So, so what company needs to do? It's, you know, we need to start thinking about this data and how we use this data to actually make decisions that can positively impact our business. But what we're seeing is also there's a new wave of technology coming by, and there is, you know, I don't know, have you guys heard of Google Glass?
No, what's that?
I can tell you. It's a connected devices. The only thing is, you know, imagine how many times you walk down the street and you bump into people because you're looking for getting direction, right? This is basically a device that leaves your hands free. You don't have to. I like that one. That joke was good. You don't have to constantly have in your hands, and you know, you're hands free and you're connected, and you can most of the time is off. I've tried it and it's pretty awesome. But it's, you know, most of the time is off, but you know, you can just switch it on as you like, just by saying okay glass, and it switches on, right? And this is probably the youngest, you know, not my daughters. I'm a single man. This is my boss daughters, and they're probably, you know, it's probably the youngest kids they've tried Google Glass in the UK. And I think they're just adorable. That's why I have them there, and also because my boss likes them. So. But you know, so we're creating, we're all creating a lot of data. So think about the uses of this technology, right? For example, I love cooking, and I could tomorrow live stream with my friends that, you know, in Germany that don't know about traditional Italian food, how to, you know, while I'm cooking, you know, I'll teach them how to cook traditional Italian food. So we all become publishers, right? But uses some of the other uses, like, you know, getting direction. You know, not having to look down in the street and not having to bump into people. It was actually quite nice where you can ask people, hey, do you know how to get there? Or do you know where, you know, Oxford Circus tube station is? And the people will give you an answer. Right now, people say, do you know Google Maps? You know, it's, yes, I do. But, you know, this is basically means we're all going to be creating data, right? We're all going to be creating data, so we need to start thinking about, you know, how do we use their data, understand their data, and to make a decision. I'm going to give you a couple of samples of companies that have actually used the data in a very smart way to make really decisions that really positively impacted their business. The first one is, you probably noticed that the Samsung Galaxy S4 has got a different name or numbering convention than the SII and SIII, right? When we looked at, anybody familiar with Google Trends? Yeah, it gives you, you know, trends search data. You input a keyword, and it give you trends based on, you know, a period of time and a location, right? So when we looked at search queries for SII and SIII, that's the red line, right? Nobody was, you know, even though that's the way they were advertising it, the product, nobody was searching for it. And then we looked at S2 and S3, then that's the green line. We see that a lot of people were, even that wasn't the real name of the product, that's what they were searching for. We like to think that was probably led Samsung to make that decision. They called the new device S4. Another company which does really, really well, and if you look at the share price of this company, they've basically doubled if you compare to last year. And they keep growing. And the reason they keep growing is because they keep expanding. They've got great service, and then they're scaling globally, and they keep expanding to new countries. And what they do as they expand new countries, even though they don't take credit for it, they look at the most illegally downloaded shows, right? And say if people download those shows, they want to watch them, right? And then they go and buy it. And then, every time they launch a new country, they're proven to be very successful because they actually, they really understand what the audience wants to see. So, what does that mean for you, right? That means from a business point of view, you need to start understanding how the data that is available to you, whether it's in analytics or is in your CRM system or is external data like Netflix, that really helps you understand who your audience are and how you can engage better with them, right? But I'll talk more about that later. Another way of using data, and which I'm sure you guys are all familiar with these guys here. So this is after the Olympics, the Team Sky gave us a bit of insight of why they've been very successful. And what Dave Brailsford says, Sir Dave Brailsford, he says that basically it's a great example of applying science and engineering to sports, right? It's basically everybody can have a dream, right? We can all have a dream, but somebody can come in and just be better than you. But if you have a dream and that becomes your goal, and then you work all the way back and set targets, to the start, then you can make changes and you can win, right? And then using data and really testing different things, they realized they could look at the bike and change different things. The helmets, for example, change the rounded. I don't know if you guys know the joke for the rounded wheels, right? There's one French person that I know in the room. But what they basically done, they had a guy who's called Mark Parker, he's the head of marginal gains, right? And they looked at every single element of the bike and say if we can get a second faster, then we'll be okay. If we can have 2 seconds faster, then we'll be tough to beat. That's what they've done, right? They use data to actually test every single amendment and then, retest it to actually see what works and what doesn't work. And then, that's what has proven success. So for businesses like yours, this is what you guys should be looking at. And then, don't just look at the incremental gain. In sports, yes, it's, incremental means 1 second is a lot, right? Because, it's a lot, but our CEO, Larry Page, likes to introduce this concept of 10x thinking. Say if you're just looking at solving an incremental problem, then by the time you solve it, somebody else has done it better than you. But if you're looking at, solving a problem and then making an experience 10 times better, then by the time you solve it, then you'll have no competitors, right? Because first of all, nobody's that ambitious. And second, nobody's gonna go, that far away, right? So, to you, challenge yourself to create a better customer experience, whether it's on digital or whether it's offline. Just create a better customer experience, focus on your customer, and they'll pay off. So this is all complicated, right? It's very complicated. People move from one device to the other. I was watching this video from a guy from analytics and say, we had all figured out the analytics on websites, but then the thing called mobile came around. And now we don't know what that means. The pieces are broken again. So it's very complicated. Yes, it is complicated, but Google, you guys won twice in a row, so that's good. It's very complicated. So, but at Google we like to make things very simple, right? And we think about The new, we think, how do we as a marketeer solve this problem? How do we connect with the connected consumer? And we like to think, we created this framework is around 3 A's, right? It's all screen, you need to be present across all screen. It's always on. You need to be, online, never chat. And then you need to, is audience engaged? We'll look at which each one of those means. So the first one is, is about visibility, right? You need to be present all the time across all screen. Move from one device to the others. You need to be there all the time. And if you, we're all familiar with this picture, right? This is a typical living room. Husband and wife finding any excuse not to talk to each other. If you're a marketeer, how do you engage with these consumers, right? They're distracted. You don't have the luxury of connecting with them anymore. You need to be present across all screen.